Welcome back with Happy Chappy and good morning. So, this is all that we see is real. So, from science fiction to fiction to what we have today, if you look backwards at everything in life, you'll see a lot we have overcome that would have been seen as untrue or impossible or a miracle for it to happen. But once it happens, it doesn't seem so much like a miracle anymore because there's been so many happenings. Yet we look back at films in time and see the similarities of today and how they've changed and how life has changed and how we follow that path in the once was illusion, but it was seen. Therefore, consciousness had it, within itself of a wholeness. And as we, as a collective of that wholeness, we bring it into life. In all them miracles. TV, mobiles, all the communication that we have. And as soon as you have a thought about something, you've brought it into life. It becomes a part of you. And in some form that transfers to something else or something more within itself. Whether it be another thought that creates a feeling, and maybe an action from that, carrying out thoughts that circulate around it until you have that. Or maybe it's just another thought that relates to it and keeps extending out further and further, but it creates something more than itself. Therefore, it becomes real. It becomes part of the reality of everything, of the force that's within us and around us, and how all of creation is created through that magnificent force of love in creation. The love to create something more. Excuse me. So that brings me to care, and care is in everything. So to have a thought or feeling, you have to care for it. A thought doesn't just arrive. And no matter how many thoughts is in your head scrambling around in your subconscious mind, you will choose to pick a thought on your surroundings. And that thought will bring some kind of direction to you. So you put that into a creation outside of you. From a thought to a feeling to emotion towards all that, and putting it into creation by an action in what you do from how you were thinking. because we have so much going on outside of us, it begins that we have just as much going on within us in our mind, in the subconscious. Yet we think with the consciousness, and we only get to see what we're choosing to think about. Yet that comes from a collective of memory of the body, and how each and every cell of the body has a memory towards life and how you've brought it through that life. And with that memory, it sends you multiple thought that you choose to follow from their memories. And if you've grown up in a place full of darkness, that we would call it, yeah, it's just another version of love on this world, then that would be the memory of all your cells. Now, if you grew up on the other side of love and care and honesty, and your family, friends, everyone being there for one another, well, that's what your memory of your body and your cells are all going to remember. So you're going to end up thinking around that. Now, if you're not thinking around what you want, so say you're on the polar side of things, you want to get to the top of the coin, is not laying on its flat and it's laying on tails, and it wants to get up to turn around to where heads is. Well, to get there, you have to change that way. You need to reevaluate what has created this situation in them thoughts. What is in the memory of the body that is creating in that subconscious mind that gives us these thoughts that we think about. So when we're thinking, if we could be aware of how the body's feeling towards them. For example, when you get angry or frustrated, where does that come from? And how is that affecting you? And to place your hands on the area, bringing more awareness and attention to yourself in that care that, oh, I'm here. I'm ready to look after this part. What is it that you need to tell me? Speaking to the body. And as one sits with oneself and looks at the thoughts that come from that, you'll be able to analyze where that pain is coming from, and how your memory and the thoughts from that memory are coming from the body. And you will be able to redesign that memory and change it by changing your thoughts. Now, everything just doesn't happen instantly, as in, oh right, well I'll change that thought, now I'm better again. It takes a way of living in that way, by understanding and being aware of yourself. And the more aware of yourself, it becomes just a part of life. Like putting on your shoes, tying your shoelaces. And like that, you don't have to think about it. It just happens. Because thought is running that fast, and you've done it that many times, it's in memory that the body can do it without actually thinking. So when you've changed the process to a happier way of thinking, and your body's got used to being in that way, then you don't need to think about it. It will just be, because you will have done it that many times. Then your body will remember to be in that happy state because you created it through your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Remembering this is a magical world and it begins with you in how you think and bringing that to creation into life. Remember, there was a lot of things there in the past. If you went back 100 years and described how today was, you would say it's impossible. If you hadn't seen today, if you'd said all that has happened in what goes on in the world today, and said that 100 years ago, you would just absolutely think somebody was crazy. But it is happening. And there's a lot more going to happen. When you look at, I was only saying the other day, or maybe it was yesterday, about the fifth element. Seeing ahead into that time where it's going to be fairy like. And it's relevant if someone thinks other than that. That's my vision, and that's what I see. And I can see it now. It's already here. And to go back in time and to go back even 50 years ago and say that, you could be seen as crazy. I could be seen as crazy today for saying that to some people. But they who are aware of that change and transform over the years and can see it, not only see it but feel it and be that change within themselves, will realise that all that we see as miracles is merely an obstruction that we create in ourselves, in that belief that it's impossible, while nothing's impossible. Nothing at all is impossible. While you were swimming down with loads of other brothers or sisters or whatever you want to look at it, seeds or swimmers, we'll just call them, trying to get to the egg, and for you to win over, I don't know, thousands of swimmers, what was the chance that that swimmer was going to turn into a life? That, for me, for the one that could speak and talk and hear, listen, smell, taste, feel, and give descriptions of how I think and how I see things and my perception. What was the chances of that? What was the chances that you'd be watching this? You could say, oh, that's a miracle. But we wouldn't look at it that way. We would look at it just as life. So there's many miracles happening in life every day. But all the miracles are all just transform of that superpower that is in that change all the time, constant change, in the force of everything. That we can find love carries us in. And when we're in that love, it just brings us to, it can bring us in two different areas. It's like the yin and yang. There's a bit of darkness and there's always that brightness, but it's the one force. It complements each other. High and low, left and right, in and out, soft and hard. You can't have one without the other. But when you can bring balance to it all, you can have that harmony in the center of it all, embracing both sides and seeing that transformation as it changes from side to side. Being the key to it all as you go down that straight line in that balanced way, picking off on either side what is beneficial to you to bring into the center, always being centered in who you are, in all that goes on around you. Where there may be destruction, but maybe there's something beautiful, but never getting into a drawn state where it's taken over who you are. Bringing that balance to you, bringing the heightened state to you in all of life, not just a heightened state for something that's good or a heightened state, excuse me, to something that is negative. As we can see in the negative, the heightened state will shoot up a lot quicker than in something that is beautiful that we like to look at on a physical form. We can stay in that way of being all the time if we can take what's good for us of either side of our perception of good and bad. And in that, all miracles just don't seem so much as miracles as it's a miracle would be the force that creates it all. And then for the things that we look at as miracles or impossible, no, then we're pushing away that force, neglecting that force for the power that it is, not understanding it. Where we can accept it and understand it's not miracles, it's magic. It's the magic of the force. And anything is possible if we have that belief in it. And we'll carry that out with a thought, a feeling, an emotion, which will become an action in some form or another. Now, whether we stay on the same path of the first thought or not, and it depends on how or what that thought was about. Was it descriptive enough to have that power to carry a feeling or emotion? And if so, then there possibly could be an action that will create that within the physical plane. Where if it's just a minor thought, it may need many more thoughts to create a feeling or emotion. Yet it's still in creation, in that power to produce a feeling. It's working its way around in that power that we don't see to create that feeling or emotion, so something else can be created outside of that from a collective of thoughts. So therefore the force is always there, and it's the care for it. When you get something that you find in consciousness that you care for, you will think about it. You will think more and more about it until you lose that care. And when that care for something is lost, it's distinguished, it's gone. Now, that's just leaving energy out there for it to be picked up elsewhere and do something else, and in the force of everything. Yet, you've lost the care within your consciousness, so you let go of it. So that energy becomes, or is released from your energy. And for all that you care about is brought into your energy. And that care comes with how you think, how you feel, and how you be. And that'll be all from what you care about. And sometimes we show the force that we care about things that we're not really consciously caring for, but subconsciously through memory we are. And that could be things like injuries or something that has happened in our life that has made us feel uncomfortable in life, dissatisfied through the memory of it. So something that was dysfunctional in the physical plane has impacted us spiritually in the memory of the body. So when we send out that signal that we're affected by it, then the force is giving us more of that, their power to be more effective, to be effective in that infected way. So we become infected by our own thoughts and feelings and emotions that we create within ourselves and how we attach ourselves to the memory. So this can be seen in emotional states. You have to go to another level on the physical plane, but it's the same thing. And for me to insult you, for example, you would feel that within your body. And that's your body creating a memory. And so just say it's here, next to your heart. And you will feel that. And there is gathering up all them thoughts that's running off your mind from all other memories of all around the body that it is picked up that relates to that thought, to what I said in your perception, through using your senses. And obviously it's a kind of thing that we look at as in darkness, so you would be conjuring up all that memory of darkness, what was dark in your whole life, and from all that memory that's within your body was be collected into that point where you could hold on to that and be more upset and more affected or infected in your body with that darkness and dark way of feeling. So you begin to become off balance. And when anything is off balance, it's an opening for an infection. In alignment, no, not in alignment, mort, right, I'm thinking of a distortion, something that is not meant to be shaped. So you have a circle. And when you interrupt it, and you change it, it changes shape, it becomes deformed. And so you're deforming your cells. So they're not going to function on a full level. They're one-sided, working in the dark. And you need to recalibrate who you are and and the memory in that cell that has collected all them thoughts to be at a balance. And when you can bring that to balance, you can take the insult and see it as an outside force from me, from how ignorant I was being, that it doesn't reflect in you. And then you're staying on a balanced line, looking at it for what it was, my ignorance towards you, while you were perfectly fine. And now you are perfectly fine and you move forward in your time, understanding something about the outside world that we as vessels all aren't so nice. That person, as in me, can be destructive in his way of speaking to me. So I'm going to be aware of that. So that I can hold memory and know that whenever they see me again, then incoming, bringing it back to this memory, knowing that it's okay, letting that cell know it's okay. Anything that he comes out with will be a reflection of him, nothing more. I'm already happy, as I'd let you know, as that cell remembers itself. And you keep moving on in who you are. So you're not distorted in who you are. The memory of me is not distorted by who I are. The memory in you is not distorted by who I am. So you can be happy in who you are, but yet you have a new knowing of me as that character who is insulting. Yet I could come in then and tell you a new view, and you could go back to that memory and look at it and think, oh, well, maybe he was just in a bad mood that day and it came out wrong. Maybe he's not so bad. So then you're bringing it into a possibility, but you're still not affected by it. You're also seeing it as me, not you. So you're not getting attached to the feelings towards it. You're keeping that cell balanced within your own feelings, not being affected by my mouth in its conflict with who you are. Because no matter what I say, it should never be a conflict with who you are, because you have your own mind to feel the way that you feel and how you think and draw them thoughts together to feel that way about yourself. Should never be impeded, or it shouldn't be impeded by me or anyone else, but you shouldn't let that and that's something that we do. We have that way of guarding ourselves, but we lift the guard and we take the insult as if it is us. And then in retaliation, we want to attack back. And yet, all that's happening here in that memory because of that is this growing in more and more pain. And the more attack that we do, we're collecting all that from every other cell, growing more and more of it in ourselves, diseasing ourselves with pain and discomfort. And eventually there'll be that many cells within us that we get that much pain and discomfort that we get disease from it. Of some form or another, depending on the area of the memory. It's a magical world, and we gotta respect it. Respect what we have and what we've been given in the force that carries that love. That it has black, it's white, whatever way you want to look at it. But it's a force that we either care for or we don't. And caring is always behind it all, behind that force that keeps it going, within you and around you. It'll always be there, the force, but to carry care for what you desire will be how you think, feel, and express in who you are. And nothing is really a miracle but the force that creates it all, that created you, created I, creates all, as it travels through us and gives us that production created in a physical form. Anyway, that's just Happy Chappy's view. Sharing is caring. Caring. This Happy Chappy, love and peace.